Lava Diana, and a special hello to my good friend Aurelia. I've been approached with the task of telling you a story today, one that is uniquely Australian, and while I could potentially talk for hours on the differences between Lithuania and Australia, today I am limited to 5 minutes. When asked, very few Australians have ghost stories. Australian culture is not a superstitious culture. We believe in what we can sense. I believe otherwise because I am Buddhist. I believe in things outside of sensory perception because I have no reason not to. My ghost story is related to both of these, superstition and Buddhism. Roughly 2 years ago, I finished my studies at university. At the time I was exhausted, overstressed and dying to get out of Sydney. I realised that I needed a week of meditation to clear my head and to remind myself of what was important. Leaving Sydney for the gum tree forests to the west, known as the Greater Blue Mountains area because the scenery gives a blue appearance as it covers a large distance, I found myself at the Santee Forest Monastery. A Buddhist temple surrounded by national parkland, deserted coal mines, caves, and utility roads for the mines. If any of you decide to stay at a Buddhist temple or a Buddhist monastery, you should understand a few things. 1. You sleep in small huts called kutis, not situated at the monastery. 2. You wake every day at 4:30 to start meditation at 5. 3. After breakfast you work until lunch. 4. After lunch is your only free time during the day. And 5. In the evening you're expected to meditate until bedtime. My kuti, my little hut, was a half-hour walk from the monastery, in the dark, alone, with a wind-up generated torchlight. It was my third night. I knew the old mining road well by then, enough to guess without the aid of light. As I walked in the dark, with gravel crunching beneath my feet, I began to hear footsteps. I stopped. So did they. I walked a few more paces. So did they. I frantically turned the torch on, peering into the darkness. Nothing. This time, walking with greater pace, the steps behind me also began to quicken. I ran. I ran the remaining distance to the kuti. I slammed the door behind me, locked it, and prepared to defend myself, huddled under my sleeping bag. Silence. Had I outrun them? Were they planning their next move outside? It would be light again soon. I didn't sleep a wink. The next day, after returning to the monastery, I explained what had happened to a monk. He replied with a laugh that what I had heard was my echo. For you see, Australia has a unique bird known as a lyrebird. It mimics the noises it hears. It echoes noises. What I had heard was not the footsteps of someone following me, but a bird's call in the night. The monk wasn't finished, however. A week before my arrival, the monk had sent out a search party into the forest because they had heard a baby crying. The lyrebird had heard a baby from a local farmhouse and proceeded to echo its crying throughout the forest. Hope you enjoyed the story, guys. That's my ghost stories. Even though it didn't have any ghosts in it, it is an embarrassing story and a confession of my silly imagination. Yet nonetheless, it is a story that I enjoy to tell.